you're on video, which is probably rare for you when recording a podcast.
I'm going to tell you something. I used to be on a podcast a long time ago, and it was a pretty well-known, like popular podcast. And at one point, they stopped doing just straight up Skype and started going to doing like video, but for an audio product. And I just think that if you have video on, I get it, but if you don't release that as video, there's a huge component of it that people are missing, and it's not so like that's okay. But then the problem is you get so used to it that you start saying things or doing things like some of the faces I'm making, and like I can point at Jeff over here, and like that kind of stuff, which will not go through the listener. And I think that can make a less good show. But This show I feel very strongly about. I'm happy to be on video at 10:20 a.m. on a Saturday morning.
I was
able to get to my stylist and pick my fourth favorite Roderick on the Line shirt. So
I also got to a stylist. The joke here, listeners, is I'm just wearing like a North Face like beanie, and
I recognize that it's from that Italian stylist. I think her name is Ilaria Hatt. I think so.
Oh man.
I've tried to convince these guys to record video and put out like a YouTube version of the show, and it has not gone over well. They're both shaking their heads right now.
Absolutely not.
I think as long as you understand it's a different thing,
yes,
it's good. You look nice today. We did video, and I thought it turned out pretty good considering it was the lockdown and But like, as long as you understand the parameters, a phrase I use that I won't go into, but in the world of podcasts, I call it the little world. Each podcast I love tends to have a little world. It's got voices that I like in it. It's got bits. It's got stuff. I yell at it. I yell at the guys on Accidental Tech podcast all the time because they're uniformly horrible. But that's their little world. You decide what comes into the little world. But if you never get a bead on what your little world is, you never let it become the thing that it is. Like you just start throwing stuff at it for what you regard as metrics. See, now I'm Holden Caulfield. It's so nice to be here on video with you. And
Hi, Holden, friend of the show, Holden Caulfield.
I would
my Twitter, but my bio on Neston for a while was lifestyle Holden Caulfield. You've never seen so many phonies in your whole
life. So I would like to make a correction at the top of the show. I said last week that Axeman was in Minneapolis. Which
the Marvel comic,
and I let you say it.
and our friend of the show, Harold, he let me know in no uncertain terms that Axeman was in St. Paul. So forgive me for that.
I love that. My favorite thing of seeing shows in St. Paul is how many times the bands go. It's great to be in Minneapolis. Harold,
yeah. I don't want to call Harold pedantic because he would definitely tell me I was using the word wrong.
Actually, it's pronounced pedant. En français.
Well, Merlin, you and Dan used to. You had a funny bit about my last name.
I think, and we stopped because
I know
hurtful.
Because I was somehow offended, and then I was a dick about it. I'm sorry.
No,
it was actually an honor
in that little world.
What was the bit?
Well, but we've got funny ways we say things. Like anything that's got B's in it is always funny. We're like Bluetooth, like bulk bag. There's just certain words that are just funny. And every time I'd say, oh my God, blah, 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 I have all these services and like QED. Sorry if it's your first time tuning in. Brett runs my life. Like whether that's marked, and like there's just so much stuff in my life that is Brett stuff or Brett adjacent stuff, and I would constantly be like, "Oh, but there's this service that lets you just select some text, and then that adds the kind of markdown bullets that you like to it." And Brett Terpstra, and he goes, "Terpstra, Brett Terpstra," and he'd say it like that, but he did it very percussively, like Terpstra. And sorry about that.
Name.
It was meant in love, but
I got that after you stopped doing it. I'm like, holy shit, I never should have.
It's like people saying to me, like the magician, and I say, yeah, like the magician, which I'd never heard before.
Brett, do you want to regain your power and just speak your name to Merlin right now?
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
No.
They call me Mr. Terpstra.
I abdicate my power.